Now, the counter argument to mine that the Democrats should not have shown up at this hearing to illustrate to the American public that something's very deeply wrong with this hearing. The regardless of who the candidate was, they could have nominated Merrick Garland again. They could nominate Pam Carlin, the left-wing professor from Stanford, to the Supreme Court, and this hearing would be unjust and inappropriate based upon their own rules. The only way to communicate that to people, in my mind, is by not showing up, is by standing outside of those doors and saying, like, I could walk in those doors, but I will not, because what's happening in there is a sham. The counter argument to that is you're not going to stop the nomination of Amy Coney Barrett. There are people watching this. It can be used as a way of leveraging it for electoral purposes. I don't agree with that theory. I think it's also what it's doing is sort of letting a little bit of air out of the tires so that they're not as pressured to reform the court if Biden wins. Nevertheless, here's Sheldon Whitehouse executing the strategy in the opening remarks of the Amy Coney Barrett hearing that basically tries to turn the hearing into an argument about the ACA, because the fact of the matter is, in 2018 and I think in 2020, the Democrats do better when they run on the question of health care.
America's worried about one thing above all else right now, and it's our health. This hearing itself is a microcosm of Trump's dangerous ineptitude in dealing with the COVID pandemic. Trump can't even keep the White House safe. Here it's the chairman's job to see to the committee's safety. And though his words were reassuring, I don't know who has been tested, who should be tested, who is a danger. What contact tracing has been done on infected and exposed senators and staff? Nothing. The whole thing, just like Trump, is an irresponsible botch. The irony is that this slapdash hearing targets the Affordable Care Act. This Supreme Court nominee has signaled in the judicial equivalent of all caps that she believes the Affordable Care Act must go and that the precedent protecting the ACA doesn't matter. The big secretive influences behind this unseemly rush see this nominee as a judicial torpedo they are firing at the ACA. So I hope Republicans consider what's at stake for the many people who depend right now in this pandemic on ACA health coverage. Rhode Islanders are calling, writing, emailing, tweeting me by the thousands, asking me to say no to this nominee, mostly because they too see her as a judicial torpedo aimed at their essential protections. And my constituents want you, my colleagues, members of the Republican Party, to stand up for once to Mitch McConnell and to the big donors who are driving this process. And for the sake of regular people, say stop.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But that is the strategy that they they are deploying here at this hearing. Almost every Democratic senator basically did a version of that. And I don't think it's going to be terribly effective, but in communicating that, I mean, I just don't understand. If you think something's a sham, how can you argue it's your job to show up for it? That's the definition of a sham. It's something that I shouldn't show up for.